guys. Yeah, look, another good day out here. I thought we got some good work today. Worked a lot of red zone down there in the scoring zone. You know, and I thought both sides of the ball had some plays. Both sides of the ball executed some things, and I think it's been, you know, I think it's been good work.
Yeah, when you're going through a practice, how do you decide like what to correct on the field and what to wait for, like in the film room?
Well, look, here's the reality. When you're standing on the sideline, you don't see every single thing that happens, you know, on the field of play. And so, you know, you're really trying to correct things that you specifically see. And every coach has their eyes trained to look at, you know, in a certain area. And then obviously as a head coach, you're kind of overseeing the whole thing. So, but yeah, I think, you know, as a base rule, if we see it, you know, then I think, you know, instant corrections, instant feedback is the best way to teach.
What was that Chris in the red jersey?
So he kind of tweaked his shoulder in the weight room a couple of weeks ago, and so we're just making sure that, you know, he doesn't get bumped in any form or fashion.
Hiring athletes voluntary or willing?
You know, he's been dealing with some family stuff. You know, look, I mean, I'm not going to go through everybody that's here or not here. You know, I would say that there's some guys that are not here due to injury. There's some guys that are here that are not here due to some personal issues. There's some guys that are, you know, not here due to their, you know, own personal choice. We're going to focus on the guys that are here, get the guys that are here, get them better as much as we possibly can during this, you know, important time in the development of our team. And then, look, next week we've got mandatory minicamp. My expectation is that everybody will be here for mandatory minicamp.
Dennis,
Go from there.
what's the transition like then from this week to next week? Is there anything different? Do you ramp it up a little bit in camp, or?
Yeah, look, we, you know, based on the rules, you know, the tempo and all that stuff is the same. We're allowed to be on the field a little bit longer, so we'll probably have a little bit more work out here on the field. Not a lot more, but a little bit more work out here on the field. And we get more time during the day, so we'll have, you know, a few other house cleaning items that we'll take care of, you know, during this time, so that we get a lot of the mandatory things done before we break, so we don't have to worry about dealing with that during training camp.
Everyone for minicamp that includes Marshawn.
That would be my expectation.
Then it's now that you've seen the team kind of get a chance to work in the offense a little bit, how do you think the transition's done?
Yeah, look, I think every day, you know, we're making a little bit of progress, and you know, and I think that's what's important right now. What's important right now is that we come out here, we get a chance to meet on it, install it, we get a chance to work it, we get a chance to go back in and make the corrections, and then the next time we get to that, you know, hopefully we're not making the same mistakes that we made, you know, in the previous practice. And that's really, you know, that's really the basis of how we teach, you know, and we're trying to eliminate repeat mistake offenders.
What have you,
So, no, go ahead.
so what have you noticed with that and with Spencer Rattler? You know, we had a couple of interceptions the first few sessions.
Yeah, look, I mean, look, part of it out here during this time and even in training camp is figuring out what you can do and what you can't do, right? And if I never take a chance, all right, then I never really know what I can or can't do, you know, in our league. And I think you find out here that the windows close a little bit faster than they do in college. And so it's all part of the learning curve. And so, look, I'm encouraged by what I see out of him. And certainly, you know, there's a lot of improvement left to be had, but I think he's making some good progress.
Dennis, what about, seems like his leg's strong with new headland, the way he's been running, and obviously our coverage units are outstanding, but is it more trying to increase the net?
Yeah, look, I think a couple of things. I think the way that we punted the football last year we eliminated a lot of return yards. And the less return opportunities you give the other team, the less opportunity they have to create big returns. And I think probably the biggest difference and the thing that we looked at that, man, we've got to try to, when we really need to flip the field, all right, we need to be able to flip the field. And so I think that was a point of emphasis for Lou, during the off season. And I think we're seeing some of the fruits of that labor out here throughout these OTAs.
Dennis, a few guys have said your early message to the team this offseason was kind of just keep your head down and work. Don't worry about anything outside the building, expectations. I mean, can you kind of expand on that? What was your message to them about that?
Well,
Why was
look,
that
here's the
important?
deal. You don't control anything that goes outside of this building. You really only control what we're doing inside the building. And really the message was, let's don't worry about what the results are going to be. Let's just worry about the process, because the results take care of themselves if you put the work in. And that's really where our focus has been. And I think our guys have done a pretty good job of, minimizing distractions, focusing on the task at hand here while we're in the building, and taking advantage of these opportunities to get better.
Is the head coach, is that something you're always dealing with? Noise?
Yeah, look, everybody has an opinion on everything, and everybody has the ability to make their opinion public, and that's never going to change. And so nobody has any control over what the outside opinion is or how they choose to voice that opinion. And so let's don't worry about things that we don't control. Let's worry about these things that we do control.
Do you care that expectations outside the building are low for this team? It seems like.
I could care less what the outside expectations are outside of this building. We're just gonna keep going to work every day, and I like our process, and I like what we're doing right now.
When, out of what you've seen, I know it's ways, but as far as red zone efficiency, are you confident that that's going to go up?
Yeah, well, look, you're right. It's way too early to really have a, clear picture of, what that's going to look like. We just really finished the second day of working, down there in the red zone. I do know this. I do know that it's an area that we have to improve in. We have to be better in that area. And I think part of being better in that area is being able to run the ball more effectively. And I do like some of the things that I've seen out here in terms of what I think we can do when we really start, practicing football, what I think we can do in the run game.
As far as sorting out what happens behind them, and is it place more of a premium on preseason games practice, or is how do you kind of?
Well, I think it's all encompassing. It's cumulative. Obviously, it's like when you go to college, all right, and you take a few quizzes. You go to class, you study, you take a quiz, right? There's a weight that goes to that, right? That's like what practice is. And then all of a sudden you get into, it's time to take the exam, and that's weighted heavier, right? And that's really what we're doing. When we go out and play a preseason game, that's reality. That's what we do. And so when the lights come on, how do we perform in those environments? And yet, all those other quizzes still affect my grade. You with me? And so that's probably the best way I can describe it.
As you make decisions, is that a hard decision to make, or do you think it just becomes obvious?
Well, look, I'd say this. I'd say evaluation takes time. Evaluation is not a one-time thing. Evaluation takes the course of time. And I do think over the course of time, I do think it becomes more and more clear as you watch it over the course of time. Now, if you're trying to make a decision after every single practice, then I think that clouds the vision. I think you're evaluating everything every day, and ultimately, as you evaluate, the picture becomes more clear.
Dennis, Farrell, we kind of talked about the culture and stuff after last year. Have you seen the buy-in that you wanted to see?
Yeah, look, I think it's been better. I think that's a work in progress still, you know. But I think that's what this time of year is about.
Yeah.
I think this is about, developing a foundation, developing some team chemistry, and I think that's what we're doing out here.
When Udo is healthy, do you see him more as a tackle, guard?
I think he's got flexibility to play both, and I think we're going to look at, okay, where are we at on the offensive line, and where can he best help us in that situation. And so, again, I don't think we've made any decisions in terms of exactly where we're going to play him. I think we're going to end up figuring out how to get the best 5 out there, and that's what we're going to do.
But you feel like you're starting with, for a long time here, the organization always had a very talented young recruits. Do you feel like you're starting to accumulate that again? Do you see that?
Yeah, I see some youth on our football team that I'm excited about, and I'm encouraged by. And so, and look, I think that's how you sustain success in our league, is by acquiring young, talented players and developing them. And quite honestly, I think we've done as good as anybody at developing players, over the course of my time here in New Orleans. So, and I see some young, talented players, on our team, and probably in particular offensively.
You see guys that maybe drafted last year starting to, that maybe they're on make whatever step that is from the first year to the second year.
Yeah, look, the hope is always that they're going to, make the biggest jump from year 1 to year 2. And yet that's not always the case. And again, like, I don't get into what's the jump going to be in year 2. I get into, how's this guy going to get better today? And if you do that, then the end result's going to be closer to what you're looking for. And so I think that's where our focus is.
For that jump to happen. For that jump to happen for a guy like 18 year, what did you kind of want to work on this off season to himself in position?
Everything. He's coming off his rookie year. There's a ton of stuff he's got to, improve on. And so, again, I don't want him thinking about, well, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do. Like, just come to work every day and focus on the things that you're being coached to do, and do it to the very best of your ability every single day. And if you do that, then the jump that we're all talking about will naturally occur.
How has Kool-Aid been progressing? I think the original target was June for him to get on the field. Is there any hope that maybe he's out here next week?
Yeah, I think there's a chance we could see him in some. I don't think we'll see him in any teamwork next week, but I think there's the potential that he could be out here and maybe working in some walkthroughs and individual type stuff.
In general, his progress.
I think his progress is just fine.
Where is Pete Warner on that career progression curve?
Heading in here for
His numbers production-wise didn't make it look like he took a big leap from 2 to 3. But where do you see him?
Yeah. Look, I think. Well, I don't think we overall were as effective defensively as we needed to be last year. I think still scoring defense was still pretty good, but I thought there were some things that we needed to do better overall as a defense. And I think Pete would say that maybe last year was not what he would have anticipated or expected. I think he's come into this offseason with a renewed sense of urgency about improving, and I've seen a great focus out of him this offseason in terms of trying to get better.
Yeah, there's some veterans to that mix, and Willie Gay and Cody Benson, and how did he embrace that?
Probably looked at it as a challenge. I would hope that he looked at it as a challenge. I haven't asked him a question, but that's the nature of our business. Is every year there's new people that are brought into the organization every year. There's new competition, and that's never going to change. So again, that's one of those things that as a player, I can't focus on. I don't have control over the players that the organization brings into the building. I have control over how I perform, and I think that's where his focus really has been.
Just not to touch upon it a few weeks ago, but what have you seen from Chase Young, even though he's not been able to do stuff? Has he still been around the meetings?
Yeah, look, he's been here every day, and he's in all the meetings. And when we're out here at practice, he's in doing the rehab and the things that he's capable of doing. I see a guy that's highly motivated to have a great year, and I think to this point, he's been on track in terms of the healing process. We'll probably have another update, in terms of where he's at here in, a week or two. Probably will paint a little bit clearer picture as to, when we think he might be back. But he's doing everything that we're asking him to do. He's highly motivated. He wants to be a part of this organization, wants to be a part of this team. And look, I'm excited about getting him out here when he's healthy enough to be out here.
It wasn't so long ago, but you were here and so was me. And I was wondering, with that having been an experience where 7-9, 8-8, and then turn the corner and climbing really hard, is there anything instructive that you've been able to reflect on from that period and like help coaching staff from there? You and Mickey ever try to go back and say what worked so well then that might work now? Is it just totally
Well, look, they're two totally separate, issues or situations. Look, I'd say that the similarity would be after the 08 season, we brought in a new defensive coordinator. I thought defensively we took on a new attitude. I thought we played more aggressively. I thought we played tougher, and so there was a little bit of a defensive culture change. And so the similarity would be that we've made some changes offensively, and maybe we see the same type of results in that fashion.
And I remembered how that team, personality-wise, did embrace at some point certain expectations. Because we go in the locker room and interview them, and we saw SB44 T-shirts and Be Special and Smell Greatness and all that stuff. So how do you balance telling guys just focus on the process versus, we can make that jump?
Yeah. Here's the thing. You feel it. You sense it, you see it. Look, I knew somewhere during this time frame, in 2009, I knew we were going to be a good football team. I didn't know how many games we were going to win, but I knew we were going to be a good football team. And so I think over the course of time, you get a sense for it, you get a feel for it. I don't think those things were, I don't recall. 2009, I don't really remember yesterday, but 2009, I don't recall donning a Super Bowl T-shirt in OTAs. I think that's something that over the course of time, you start seeing it and feeling it as the season goes on, and yet that can't be the focus. Because if you start focusing on that, you lose track of what's right there in front of you, and then you get tripped up.
John, how critical is the offensive line coach to change?
Well, look, so yeah, I would say, I'd say it's extremely important. Obviously, it starts with Clint as the offensive coordinator. That's where the leadership on the offensive side, starts with him and filters down through, the assistant coaches and then all the way down through the coaching assistants and then down into the player leadership. But look, the heart and soul of your team really needs to be your offensive line. I think if your offensive line is playing at an extremely high level, I would say more often than not, you're having some success. You know, at least offensively, you're having some success, and I think, you know, overall as a team, I think you see a lot more success when that's the case. And so, yeah, I think that's important. I think the leadership on the offensive line, I'm looking for guys like Eric McCoy and Cesar Ruiz to step up and have a leadership role in that room, and you know, hold the guys, because there's some young guys that are going to be playing on the offensive line. That's going to happen, you know, and so those guys have to do a great job of holding those guys accountable to the standard, because the standard is the standard regardless of first-year player or 15-year vet.
Because Clint isn't necessarily as maybe fiery as Greg Williams back was in 2009, wondering how you've seen him still trying to instill that new culture or bring about a culture without maybe the common circumstance of being fiery.
Yeah. Well, look, there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat, right? And it's not necessary the as you said it, pomp and circumstance, all the yelling and screaming. That's not necessarily what changed the culture. Okay, it was the attention to detail. It was this is who we are, this is what we are, and this is how we're going to play. And then it was holding the guys accountable to that standard. That was the difference. Now, how you do that, you know, Greg Williams was, you know, hell of a defensive coach. Tony Dungy was a great defensive coach and a head coach. You know, I'd say they probably did it two different ways, you know, but both effective. But the accountability factor is the key.
I think Greg used more words than Tony.
I would say different words. Yeah, different words for sure. All right. All right, guys. Please.
Hello, hello, somebody. Yeah, I'ma move my body. Yeah, I'ma be somebody. You never know when you